I just want to say that Dorohedoro is an amazing manga. I've read through it. I haven't watched the adaptation of it, but from what I've seen of it, it is just like one of a kind. It's complex. It's unique. It's extremely dark in a way that I have yet to seen rivaled. It's truly dark just because the world and setting is dark. There is no mention of angels or God here, and the only thing that exists is hell and more hell. And you're never taken out of the world because everything feels fantastical or magical or anything like that. No, when they have magic in this, you still feel like, okay, it's believable. You don't feel like it's too out of the ordinary or too insane. Like, okay, I get it, because there's hierarchies of power. So there's some that are going to be more powerful than others, and there's some that are going to be weaker than others. And that's kind of like realistic to our world, how it is today. We have others who are more superior, although, Americans hate that kind of thought and terminology, but it's kind of true. You think of like the Bezos, thing like that, which I would equivalent to the N family. You got someone who's so powerful, that's like, okay, yeah, it's a little bit difficult for me to build a rival with someone like them, and they're probably going to do whatever they want to do. And since this world is dark, I do want to say that not everything's like that in life. I'm not walking around constantly thinking, oh, I'm low. I don't think that. But, if you live right outside the gates of it and they're constantly oppressing you or, doing whatever they want, you might begin to think that. And like I was saying, you feel like you could be a part of this world. You wouldn't want to be a part of this world. It isn't like the Shire or anything like that. This is a horrible place to probably want to be, Like I just said, there's no gods or angels or anything like that. It's just like, it's devils, and there's people who are more powerful than you if you're not, born luckily, with specific giftings and abilities. So it's just like, okay, I don't want to be here. As simple as that. And it just has a strong, dirty feeling of reality, and it feels very grounded to our reality because of that. Because our real world can be scary, it can be dark, it can be horrible sometimes, and the things that we see in this story, everyone's probably had a little bit of a glimpse of what that could be like, and it might not be for you if you've gone through a lot of trauma and difficulty, but then again, if you're interested in that kind of stuff, then I'd say this is for you. And it doesn't have tangents that goes on that never ends up cleaning up. If you have questions, you're going to find the answers to it. If you have things that you want to know about, you're going to get to know about it. You might have questions from chapter 1 all the way until chapter 60 that doesn't get answered until chapter 140, but you're going to find the answers. And it does require a little bit of thinking because it's unique and it's complex, but you'll gain understanding as you continue along with it. And it's done just so beautifully, and it's pretty satisfying. And I do want to say that this isn't a story that you're going to go on and by the end of it, the world's going to be changed. With it being such a dark and horrible kind of place, the characters we follow are just a small little microcosm of the greater grand scheme of things. And although like the whole, the whole health of the entire world, I'm trying to think of the words for it, the whole like reality of the worlds could shift, and it could be like the world ending if they don't do what they're doing, or they don't go through what they're going through, even though they're kind of just thrown into it and they don't know what they're doing. Even if it were to continue going on like this, I think that it wouldn't be out of the ordinary for everyone. So take that as you will. It's just a good story. I really enjoy it. So my name is Anthogwin, and I'm gonna get into a little bit of the backstory of this real quick, and then we're gonna just kind of hop in there and just see how it feels. Dorohedoro was made by Q Hayashida on November 30th, 2000, and the manga was finished on September 12th, 2018, after 167 chapters. So I'm 25. This has gone on for 18 years. If you subtract 18 minus 25, you got what? That's 5, 6, 7 years. I'd be 7 years old. So this is quite a lot of time to kind of go through. I'd be basically a baby. So I want to say that for someone to be able to kind of start this and go through with it and end it in a way where it's all connected after that much time has passed, that kind of speaks volumes, because it's done good. And I think he started getting burned out and he's like, I'm going to stop it. And then he ended up making it three or four more volumes because he reread it and realized, I can't just do this to my people that have been following along with this, because the story's good. So he did it justice too. So you're not going to kind of get towards the end and be like, okay, it feels rushed, or okay, it feels this. It's done well and it's paced well. That's the biggest thing about this, is you're going to be full of these action scenes, and you're going to be full of these moments like, I don't know what's going on, I can't breathe. And he's going to give you room to breathe. He's going to give you time to kind of ask questions, because just like the people in the story, they have questions as well, and they're going to want to know answers, and their heads are spinning just as much as ours are spinning. And I think that's a beautiful thing to kind of get and have and understand. And he understands it to like a very deep and intimate level, because obviously if we're reading it, we're having questions. He doesn't want to leave us in the dark, and he does a good way of making sure there's enough dark to keep you hooked on and interested. And even when you get the answers, you're kind of like, oh God, where do we go from here? And he has a way of getting you going from where you're like, oh, I don't know what to do with this, to, okay, we got a plan. So it's wonderful. It just really is. And I haven't watched the anime, like I said. They have that going on. I think the season 2 is supposed to come out sometime of this year. I'm not sure if it's even coming out right now as it is, or if it's, still months away, or if it got pushed back. But I think a lot of people probably got a resurgence of that and was like, oh yeah, this is good because the adaptation of it. So I haven't seen it. I can't comment on that. but do know that they have that kind of going on. As for readability of it, this is my second manga I've ever read. The first one was Vinland Saga, and I kind of Googled and I was like, I want more of that. So I kind of found this. I think it's what, Seinen or something like that is what they call this. And it just, I don't know. I just saw this, and although it's nothing like Vinland Saga, it's so good. And it is easy to read. As being never reading manga before, not knowing what to do, I'd say that this is totally easy to do as your first manga if you wanted to. Just as long as you're interested in it. And that's kind of the biggest thing is if it interests you, go for it, man. That's what I gotta say. And with everything coming full circle, you're not gonna be at the end of the story and being like, oh, I didn't like that because they didn't answer these questions. You're gonna have answers to a lot of things. And of course, there's still gonna be things that you're gonna want to know more about, but it's not gonna probably be integral to the core part of the story. So it is a really good way of just tying you in. Now, within the world of Dorohedoro, there are two types of people. You have the magic users, who are known as sorcerers, and they have these devil tumors growing in their brain, in their head, and they're able to produce smoke, and it is a source of their magical powers and their life. So just think of it like an actual tumor in your brain, except it's an actual like devil person. I don't know. It's weird. It shows you in the manga, and you probably get it in the anime as well. Just a little person. So it's like, okay, that's kind of cool. All right, that's how this is. It's normal for them. And there's normal people who have no abilities whatsoever. So they don't have none of that. They ain't got no powers. They're just lamos like me and you, I guess, working their 9-to-5s, trying to make, ends meet. Each sorcerer's magic's different, as you'd expect, and there's a hierarchy of power. So you have some that are born stronger, and some that have more capacity of smoke and powers and things like that, and some that have, little power, their abilities kind of are junk, they can shoot a spitball. They don't see that actually in there, but just think of it like that, There's people who are going to be way better, and they're going to be the epic legends of heroes or legends and tyrants. And then you got people who are just, getting bullied and picked on. And magic is mostly shown to be used to harm others throughout the series. So I can't really think of a time where magic's really used to help others, other than maybe there's a guy named N, and he can make mushrooms. Sometimes they'll eat mushroom dishes. There's another guy who can turn people into gyoza, food. So I think I might have seen someone eat them before on there as well, but like that's not something that you see as commonplace. So most of the things that we do see, they end up actually using it for harm. So, and there's also, like different levels. So with healing, that's a really, sought after power. If you can heal people through your magic, then that's cool. You can bottle up the smoke and people can get healed from it. Most of the time, you're going to use the healing power to continue doing what you already were doing. So, just because you're, robbing a place and you're almost beat half to death, or maybe you did die and you get healed, doesn't stop you from going and doing what you're going to do. You're just going to get back up and probably go and do it, except this time not do the same thing that got you killed. Or maybe you will do the same thing that got you killed. So I don't know. And then there's the third type of being. So this is different from, the human types. There's devils. So these are beings of immense power. And though there's not a lot told specifically about them, although you do get a couple chapters more specifically focused on them, you do get to kind of see that like sorcerers are able to become devils. So it's not like, oh, they're just beings that are already there from the beginning. There was one, his name is Chedamura. Chedaruma. We're going to get to him. He's like King Devil. But you're able to become a devil, and you're also able to unbecome a devil. They have this knife that's so sharp you can cut through anything, and it's called the store knife. If you get cut with that, you can end up losing your devil powers. So you'll kind of see this dynamic of these higher beings kind of being on a different plane of, power, and it does change you fundamentally who you are. It's not like you just kind of gain it and you're still, human conscious. No, you begin to get like really narcissistic, egotistical. You get like, I'm definitely better than everyone because theoretically you are, you're some sort of different being entirely now because of the transformation that took place. So of course you're going to be that way. You earned it. You went through it all, and in this world you get rewarded for that. So it's normal to only think that of course you're going to be better than everyone else just because you are. So in Dorohedoro there exists 3 worlds, and this is where the story will take place, and they'll be differentiated by the type of people or things that live there, the species. There's Hell, which is the world of the devils. It was created by Chidoruma, which is, like I said, he was the first devil that was kind of in existence. I don't want to say he created everything, but through my understanding, he kind of almost did. And this is where all sorcerers end up after they die. And then you got the magic user world, which is the realm of the sorcerers. It was created by Chidoruma to differentiate between life and death for magic users. Because originally they lived in Hell, because that was the only place that there was. And when they die, they just pop back up there. So it was kind of redundant. It's like, okay, I'm going to live and then I'm going to die, and I'm just same place. So, okay, let's kind of differentiate that. So this is the main place where the story kind of takes place. One of them, I will say, not the main place, but one of the main places is the magic user realm. And the third one is called the Hole. And the important distinction between the Hole and Hell and magic user world is Chidoruma discovered this. So this place just kind of popped up, and he was going and he found out about it. And this is explained in one of the chapters in the story as well. And this world, the whole, is constantly being attacked by magic users, and there's humans here. So this is like the worlds of the humans, you can think of that as well. And they use them as guinea pigs. So the magic users are able to kind of make a door through their magic power somehow, some way. They're able to just do that, and they can go in between the whole and their world, and they'll go there and they'll practice their magic, and they'll figure out new ways to use it. And it's like it's torment. So if you're a human, like I said, it's kind of like hell on earth. You don't want to be there. But it's done also in a way where it's like, okay, yeah, it's reality. It's the way it is. And this is the world where our main protagonist resides in, and is the birthplace of a sinister entity, which will be the final antagonist of the series. So yeah, this is where you're gonna start at, kind of. This is where else you're gonna end at. This is where you're gonna have the biggest like plot development, and everything else is gonna be done in the whole. The story begins very fast paced. It's an action-packed fight scene where we're left questioning if we truly start in chapter 1 or if we missed something. When I first read it, I was kind of confused because I was like, oh, what the hell's going on? They're saying the characters' names, and things are going on, and I don't know what's going on. All I know is I'm in the middle of a fight, and okay, we're just gonna go 0 to 100 real quick. It hooks you. And one common thing about this is, like I said, you were constantly scrapping by and begging for anything to give you answers or some sort of understanding. You're just trying to cling on to something like, oh, give me something. I have nothing to grab. I want to grab something. I want to grab that bar. There's no bar until you get the first few chapters down and breathe. So the story does an amazing job of making you ask the questions. It gets you curious, and it slowly fills you in. And I don't think there was one entire time with my reading where I felt like I needed a breather other than what they already did in the story naturally. So like I said, it's paced perfectly. So like I never had to put the book down and be like, oh, okay. I did, have to stop. And that's because I got hungry or I had to go to bed. I was like, all right, I'm going to go retire to my room like an old fart at like 7 and be like, all right, yep, let's go get ready for bed because I'm going to sit in bed. I'm going to read. And when I'm done reading, it's going to be like midnight or 2 in the morning. And I don't stay up late as it is. I work early. So if I'm staying up late to read this book, that's something for me. It's like, okay, they're doing something right. And when I go to bed, I wasn't able to just fall asleep. No matter how tired I was, I couldn't just go to bed. I found myself spinning those cogwheels, thinking about everything, trying to understand, I'm envisioning the world in my eyeballs because, when I'm reading through it, it feels like I'm actually watching like a movie. It feels like it because it's so well done. The art style stays the same, consistent, and that's the biggest thing. Everything's just so consistent. And how does it do the like breather moments in the book? You'll have moments where like you'll have all these violence and things going on, and then you're gonna go to like a place called the Hungry Bug, which is they're cooking gyoza. It's a restaurant, and it's kind of like the home base in the whole for the main protagonist for most of the story. And they're gonna go there and they're gonna talk and they're gonna figure things out and they're gonna eat. And though this isn't like a restaurateur kind of thing, there is food in the book a little bit, and it's like okay, through that you're able to like okay, I'm piecing things together, and they're gonna talk between themselves. The way that they do the dialogue, it's not like they're trying to like explain things to you where it's like this person knows everything, this person doesn't know. We're not the person that's stupid. It's like we're part of the conversation just like everyone else is in this world. And when they figure things out, we figure things out. And it's nice. So yeah. And they also like, they'll walk around town through the settings of the world and piece things together as they go. So it's just beautifully done. For the first 60 chapters, the main character we follow along with is a lizard human named Kaiman. I'm assuming he's like a lizard. He's, some sort of reptile. And every sorcerer will get a mask. So if you're a magic user, you end up getting a mask. And it's usually crafted, fashioned by a devil. And Kaiman isn't a sorcerer. And it looks like he has this mask on, but it's just his flesh. He got cursed by a magic user of some sort, and it's not really... I don't think we ever get specifically told who did it. We get ideas of who might have done it. And I will say I think that the story does kind of lean on that this person did do it to him. We don't know why. We don't know how. We don't know, the reasonings for that. Kind of as you get towards the end of the book, you'll kind of understand what I'm trying to talk about, where you still get the answers, though. So I don't want to be like, oh, yeah, you get everything figured out, and then I'm like, I don't know why. You'll fall into it, and it will explain itself as it goes. But he's trying to figure out why he's transfigured this way and why he can't be human again. Like, who was he before this? He kind of like, he got amnesia in a sense, and he's trying to refigure out what his life was, who he is, and what he's done. So he's trying to undo it, and that's kind of the main point of the story going on. It progresses the story for the first like 60 chapters or so, and that's who we follow along with. And from the very beginning, we're entwined with this girl. Her name's Nikaido, and she's a female friend and the owner of that restaurant I told you about, the Hungry Bug. And yeah, they're gonna do things together, and she's very consistent through the beginning to the end of the book. She's following along with you. So a lot of the characters we get introduced to, it's not like, oh, we're gonna get invested and they're gone. It's like we're gonna get invested in a way, whether we like or we hate them, and they're gonna be with us consistently through it. So it's nice that way. You're not like being filled in the brain with all this filler that doesn't come back around. actually going to be using everything that you kind of gain a little bit. So it's nice. So the main way that the story will progress at the beginning is Kaiman's going to go and they're going to fight people that are sorcerers within the hole, because you remember the hole is kind of against the sorcerers, because humans against sorcerers, the sorcerers use the humans as guinea pigs. Kaiman was obviously a guinea pig at some sort of some time. So they're going to go through and they're going to find him. And Kaiman's kind of like a sorcerer hunter, if you will. And Nikaido is going to help him hunt sorcerers. And Kaiman will go and he'll overpower someone, he'll bite their head, and he has another guy inside of his throat. And that's kind of cool. And he's going to be like, yo, is this the dude that's, is this the one that caused the curse on me? And the dude in his throat's be like, nah, he ain't the one. And Kaiman doesn't know what the dude inside of his throat's saying, because he can't talk to the guy inside of his throat. So he sticks his mouth in there like a corn dog on a stick. The dude will ask him, he'll spit it back out, and he'll ask the dude and be like, hey, what did the guy say? And he'll be like, you're not the one. That's kind of the thing that we'll kind of get for the first half of the book. You're just gonna be, am I the person? No. Okay. And then usually he eats their head. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna kill you because you're a sorcerer and you're evil. So it's kind of interesting. I've never seen that before, and I was like, all right, that's kind of that's definitely a way to tell a story. Kind of a way that's interesting. I'd never seen that. I like that. So it felt very funny kind of at first a little bit, but at the same time it's like it all fits. It all feels proper. It's like I said, it doesn't feel like it's out of place. Like if you were just stumbling around this in the world, if you were in there inside the hole or whatever, I think you'd be like, that's believable. I need to stay away from that guy. So it's not like, oh, this is silly. It's like, this is proper for this world. It's a unique storytelling device, and just one of the many different tangents. And the next part, so we kind of have Kaiman and then Nikaido, and then you'll have something called the N family. And they're the powerful family that, not actually really by blood, but they're powerful sorcerers like a gang. And they have a couple of powerless people that you can think of, like weak sorcerers that will kind of go around and do the chores of the household, will kind of do the whatever, N wants him to do, because he's the boss. And he has a way of kind of weaving you into the story, the author does. Because when I first started reading it, I hated the N family. But you kind of get stuck in the middle where you have quite a few chapters, like 20, 30 chapters of where you're just going to be kind of reading about the characters in there. And I was like, I don't like them because they're destroying my main characters or destroying my homies. They're being bullies. But as you kind of see things from their side and kind of where they're going from, you kind of understand. You kind of like, okay, I hate to do it, but I got to change my feelings and opinion. Maybe they're not as evil as they are. They're still evil. N is a very selfish, narcissistic kind of person, very egotistical. He's going to do what he wants because he's so powerful, But at the same time, it's like I can understand like why he feels the way he does about specific things and why he wants the things that he wants. He kidnaps some people and he forces them into doing things. It's kind of like he's forcing you to do what you don't want to do. And that's just one of the dirty realities of this world. And sometimes he gets his way. And we'll see that he does get his way sometimes, and it feels horrible. But at the same time, as the story reveals his backstory and his past stuff, that you begin to understand, like, okay, I get why he's doing this. I understand why. And though I don't agree, I get it. And I don't necessarily hate him for it. And, people, there's not really this idea of redemption in the story. So don't think of it like, oh, he kind of redeems himself. He doesn't really redeem himself. He's going to be who he's going to be through and through. But there is moments where it's like, okay, I'm not going to fight you. I'll join sides with you because that's what's proper to help beat this common goal or meet this enemy and face it together. Because if we don't, everything's going to go to shit. But you don't see that towards the later half of the story. As you gain the understanding, you can rationalize why people do what they do. And since our main character has this amnesia effect, you can also understand why people would treat him the way they do. So it's not like he's just being an asshole to be an asshole to our main protagonist of the story. There's reasons why he's doing the things that he's doing. Our main character has cross-eye tattoos, and it's affiliated with a gang. And this gang is like a drug addict kind of people. They make black powder, which lets people gain temporary magical powers. So if you can't produce magic, you take this drug. Now you get powers. Now you got magic. So it's kind of like, okay, we're leveling the playing field now. The boss is a mysterious figure who gets revealed to have either done really good things or really bad things, depending upon where you stand. He gives hope to those who have no power and are test subjects to the magical people. But then on the other hand, he does like one of the most, horrible atrocities that you've ever seen in this entire world. Like he's just horrible. And it's so bad that the devils think, oh, we're going to go and take a vacation, and we're going to go, and they create an itinerary plan to go see what this thing is and see what it's going to do, because Chidoruma, he did not make this thing. So it just kind of happened, and he's like kind of excited because it's interesting. And it's kind of sad it kind of gets revealed where it's like, oh, he's actually having fun in this moment because everything, he's so old and he's created things and he's been around for forever that nothing excites him anymore. So it's kind of like, oh, it feels sad because this thing is exciting him, but at the same time it gets boring, and you just kind of see like, oh, I don't know. I felt sad for him because he's a devil that's seen everything and isn't enjoying life. But then again, he's a devil, so it's like, all right, you're a horrible person. He finds fun in like the monstrosity and the horrible things. So, but they create a plan to go on like a school bus vacation to go look at this. So, and take it as you will with that. It's pretty bad. I'd say he's this boss figure, this main protagonist or antagonist of the story. He's pretty evil. And you couldn't make this stuff up. Like when I saw that was so funny, and it came at the perfect time because the story was going so batshit crazy. I was like, I need to breathe, and it gave me a breather. And then it doesn't take, it takes you out of the story for a second, but that's where you learn more about the devils. And then the way that it introduces you back into the story after that, they go and they commit some atrocious thing, the devils themselves, and they throw the dude back out, and then you follow along with the story from there, and it's like, oh my god, like it just reminds you just how dark and gritty everything is again. So yeah, you kind of get this idea that there might be like a feeling of luck and destiny intertwined with the main characters, because how they're able to kind of go along with their story, how they're able to find the people they find, get the places they get, and be revived, or some people will get almost dead, and the way that they're able to be brought back in the nick of time, like you kind of feel like, okay, that might not be realistic, and that might be the only thing I could say is like, okay, they get pretty lucky in some scenarios and instances. But then again, if they were to die, you're kind of like, okay, this isn't really much of a story worth telling. So obviously, if you're telling the story, it has to be told by people who actually, made it to the end. So you will kind of get some moments where it's like, oh, damn, like there is no hope. But then the hope kind of figures its way to come back, and it feels good. It does feel good. And even throughout that, it doesn't take you out. You still are very grounded. And it's like, okay, of course. And I found myself beginning to like hypothesize, like, oh my god, this dude's gonna die. How's he gonna do it? I bet this person's gonna come and they're gonna do this. And then kind of something similar like that will happen, where someone will kind of come and they'll do something. And I was like, okay, that's how they were gonna do it. I kind of figured they were gonna do something like that, but I also didn't know that was possible. So you will find yourself kind of trying to bridge gaps that don't need to be bridged, but you get so excited you want to bridge it, which is, once again, I think every good story will have you doing that. Will have you wanting to hope, and they'll have you wanting to figure things out before it happens. And I don't know, it did it. I was constantly trying to think and figure things out and make plans, and I enjoyed that part of it. I enjoyed being able to kind of think and dream and see. And although my dreams didn't always align with how the author was going to go through and do things, it's really cool seeing the way that how he does it. So I just enjoyed that. Yeah, and the main antagonist, the Cross Eyes boss, this dude, he is so distant all the way to the very end. So this isn't really much of a spoiler, because he's gonna start out distant, and he's gonna stay that way until the very end. And there's a very big like lead up and intense, kind of feeling towards it. And when it does get revealed, it feels good, but it also doesn't feel good, but it does. So yeah. I can give like an overview of the End Family. I'm not going to do that because obviously I've been going on for quite a while rambling about this. If you're going to read it, you're going to read it. If you're going to watch it, you're going to watch it. I thoroughly enjoy it. I recommend it. Going through it, I'd say it's like a 10 out of 10. On hindsight, most people probably say it's like a 7 out of 10 or something like that. That's what I would think. I think I like to give reviews based off how much I enjoyed it at first, but I also want to be realistic to it. Are people going to find faults with it? I'm sure they will. I'm sure people will find something wrong with it. Did I see anything wrong with it when I was going through it? Not really. I think everything's consistent, very good. I've said that 1,000 times. I loved it. And if you just look at some pictures of the art style, if it looks interesting to you, then that's how it's going to stay consistent right through. It is a little bit more explicit, obviously, like me saying it's dark, but also, you're going to have boobs. You're going to maybe have some ass, you're going to have that kind of stuff. It's kind of a world where, like, you don't really have, like, personal boundaries and that. It feels like, if this is reality, you'd have that stuff ripped away from you from a very young age. So you're not going to have our typical world view and thinking and understanding. It's the way it is here. So yeah, you'll see what I mean when you read it. But if you like the video, consider leaving a like, consider commenting if you have any questions or comments, concerns, things you want to ask questions about. I might not have any answers to it. I usually don't do deep dives like this. This is kind of new to me, but I just feel I want to say it because I was really enjoying it. And yeah, consider subscribing if you want to see more content like this. I don't know how often I'll be able to do something like this because it takes a while to read. It takes a while to watch. I'm the kind of guy that like has never seen like Alice in Wonderland, things like that. So it's kind of like there's a lot of people out there who have seen a lot of the things I've never seen before. And usually when I watch it, it's like, oh yeah, this is all new to me. Even though people are like, oh yeah, they have a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of that, and this and that. I'm like, I don't know what any of that is. I'm very uncultured in that way, and I'm kind of trying to go through and culture myself up a little bit now as I get onto middle age. I'm not middle aged yet because 25 plus 25 is 50. I don't want to say I'm, knock on wood. That sounds a little young to me, but you know, I enjoy it, and I hope you guys enjoyed this as well. So I apologize for my rambling, and yeah, I guess until next time, I'll see you later.